I'm Risa Medea-Pera, and I'm the second speaker for the affirmative side for the proposition of laboratory animals should not be used for medical experimentations. I will be starting with the refutation of my opponent's claims, but I will be doing this by expanding on ours. So the first thing that my opponent said was that no, animal testing is not cruel because there's laws and regulations that are in effect and are effective enough to control them. And they're regulated, there's laws for them. And yes, there is a law. However, it's not certain that these laws are always abided by these institutions and are actually effective. According to the Animal Legal Defense Fund website and their study on animal testing and the law, there's 120 inspectors that oversees 12,000 facilities involved for research, exhibition, breeding, and dealing of animals, meaning that those inspectors that they were talking about that were going to oversee these research facilities to make sure that they're not treating them cruelly and that their living conditions are perfect and are they're being treated fine, there's limited numbers of them, so they cannot really actually be reporting accurate stuff. Also, if they are not abiding by the rules, the penalties that they have to go through to pay for, like, if they are caught, are very inconsequential in comparison to the massive research revenues that they get. Also, besides this point, the process that they go through to prove that they are in fault is really long and tedious. In an example of why this is ineffective are some of the undercover investigations that other people have done, such as this undercover investigation in a research lab by the Humane Society of the United States. There's 6,000 monkey cages and 325 chimpanzee cages found at a site in a span of 9 months, but only 20 chimpanzees were used in active studies. What are they using the other animals for, and where are they storing them? That's the question. Why didn't the investigators see this? Also, it's inhumane in the fact that when they test on animals, they don't have consent. When they test on humans, they have consent. Humans give consent to be tested on, animals don't. They're literally bred, and according to the University of Illinois Chicago Biological Research Laboratory, they're purposely bred to be better research subjects, and they're purposely bred to die. And the second contention that my opponents went over was the accuracy of the animal testing results. No, it is not that accurate. Yes, we have come up with medicines from animal testing that were effective on humans, but according to Dr. Aisha Al-Khattar, these species have different reactions to the medicines. We found that the living conditions that they're in, the stress that they're in, and the artificial models that are made on them affect a lot of the results. And so therefore, the animal testing in itself is not very accurate. Furthermore, the results vary because of the varying species and the varying strains of the species. So in reality, there's too many variables to account for. Now, my opponents talked about how alternatives to this is not effective, that animal testing is still the most effective way to address medical issues or medical research. However, alternatives are in part very advanced nowadays. In labs, researchers culture cells obtained from human volunteers, surgical operations, and biopsies to do in vitro studies on them. So it's directly on human beings, or on human tissues, so we get direct results. And according to a website on alternative research, Henrietta Lacks donated her body for research, and her genes and all of her organs and her tissues helped develop drugs for treating herpes, leukemia, influenza, hemophilia, and Parkinson's disease, just to name a few. Also, many individuals, if you're concerned about the fact that we don't have enough people to account for in vitro and to account for other for this research, many individuals with both ordinary and terminal diseases are willing to volunteer for new drug and treatment trials, and there isn't a concern for the number of volunteers. There isn't a shortage of them. In terms of the cost of in vitro and other alternative research studies are a lot less than using animals for testing. Animal testing for chromosome aberration is $30,000, and an in vitro test it's $20,000. So that's a $10,000 difference, and that's almost the same for the other ones. Now I will be addressing why do we need change. Well, change is needed because people, as according to Ryvaki, people argue about changing a policy to create new ones when some group thinks that there's a problem that exists. And a lot of the groups nowadays, such as what my partner has pointed out in his speech, PETA and Humanity Against, some other organizations have now been coming up with laws against animal abuse. And so this is apparent in our society. That's why we have to advocate for them. And the same reason goes for how and why the banning will work. More people are in support of animals, and because of the alternatives are proving to be better now, continuing the use of animals for medical research is no longer necessary, and it's only a waste of animal life. Thank you.